Orgazmo is an anomaly for its time. For every step it takes forward, it takes another 3 steps back. For every funny and well-written joke, there's a painfully unfunny and cringy moment to go along with it. The movie Orgazmo is written and directed by Trey Parker of South Park fame. Matt Stone is also a producer on the film, but is noticeably absent from the screenplay writing, unlike all future big-scale projects they would go on to work on, like 2004's Team America World Police and 2011's The Book of Mormon on Broadway, where they were written by Trey and Matt together. This may be why the noticeable lack of quality and subtle humor South Park's known for seems to be missing. The film's plot details a satire towards the belief of the Mormon religion and culture, something Matt and Trey have parodied several other times, like on their award-winning Broadway play The Book of Mormon and a number of episodes on South Park. The movie opens with a comic book panel montage of what's implied to be an Orgazmo comic, with the song Now You're a Man playing, which was reused in the credits of Season 1 South Park episode Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. After the opening credits, we open on 2 Mormons, with the main one being played by Trey Parker. They're walking down the street and knocking on people's doors, asking them the usual Mormon stuff, and are pretty much annoying people, just like a good Mormon is supposed to be. This section of the movie is arguably the best part, being that the Book of Mormon, a better take on this attempt of satire, seems to have taken some inspiration from this scene of the movie, taking out the good from the bad. And that's about where the comedy ends. The story still progresses somehow. There is a conflict that arises in the movie when Joe says that Lisa, Joe's girlfriend in the movie, wants to get married in a temple, but Joe can't afford it. So once Joe and his friends stumble onto the wrong house and interrupt the shoot of a porno, and I shit you not, a bodyguard comes out of the house and tries to cut their fucking balls off. But once the other missionary runs away, he leaves Joe to stay there and defend himself. Then, out of nowhere, Trey Parker's character starts to kick some fucking ass. He fights the bodyguard, throws him to the ground, causing the porno director to send out even more guards in an admittedly awful choreographed fight scene that are only rivaled by The Room. Fight scenes have really never been Trey Parker's strong suit in general, though. The only time he was able to make it work was in Team America World Police, and that was only because there was really no actual way to make puppets fight, so it added to the humor. In Orgazmo, Joe's character may be a puppet, but his fighting still comes off fairly poorly executed and less humorous than in Team America. So once Joe fights off all the guards, he meets the director of the porno, who offers him a job to replace the previous Orgazmo after he broke his fingers. Joe of course says no, being that he's, well, a fucking Mormon, but is convinced to sleep on it when the director tells him that they're gonna pay him $20,000 and they're gonna use a cock double. Then it starts to become real clear that the entire movie was built around this one joke. Yes, the joke is admittedly used really well, but you can't build an entire movie around something like this. Sure, maybe if the idea was a little more fleshed out than this, but I'm not stretching it to say almost the entire movie has been based on this joke. What makes a good comedy work is to have the story work on its own without any jokes. If you look at certain films that aren't considered comedies but are humorous in their own ways and compare them to straight no-laugh movies, the more comedic films are probably more well received. For example, Star Wars is mostly considered to be an adventure film, but it was shaped in large by its humor. Even though Star Wars didn't set out to be a comedy like Orgazmo did, it's still considered to be a pretty humorous movie. The reason why Team America actually worked was because they had an idea for an interesting story with well fleshed out characters and a semi-decent plot. So when it's unbelievably obvious that you made your movie rely on something like a joke or a barren idea like this, it just comes off as half-baked. Joe ends up calling Lisa to talk about the movie and telling her that it pays 20 grand, which leads to one of the most cringe-inducing sections of the film.
Oh, Joe, that's wonderful. Is it enough so that we can get married in the temple?
Lisa, it's $20,000.
This one scene right here almost single-handedly ruins this movie. It's so unbelievably annoying and cringeworthy, it's a wonder why they left it in the first place. And it even happens later again in the movie. So if you've managed to keep your sanity up to this point in the film, you understand that Joe's motive for being Orgazmo is to keep Lisa happy. This does lead to an admittedly funny scene where Joe prays asking for a sign right before an earthquake that he ignores. Meanwhile at the porno set, Joe shows up to get in wardrobe and meets his sidekick in the film, Chota Boy, whose real name in the movie is Ben Chapleski, who is played by Dion Bakar, best known for his role in Squeak in 1998's Basketball and his number of appearances on South Park. After Ben's done spewing out his awful sex jokes, there's around 6 to 7 minutes of bullshit filler sex scenes, with all the scenes reworked either by having naked white guys' asses show up right before a naked lady takes her clothes off, or showing reaction shots during the actual intercourse in the film, to keep that good old R rating the movie never received. When Parker made the movie, he aimed for an R rating, so when the MPAA gave it an NC-17 rating, Trey Parker asked what to change with the MPAA, denying that they couldn't do anything about it since they weren't a censorship group, which is complete bullshit, because when they made the South Park movie, they told them what to change to keep for the R rating. So it's believed that the MPAA did this because it was an indie film, and since there wasn't a big name studio behind it, they wouldn't go for it. Even though the real reason was because they didn't want to watch the movie again. And the movie's filled with these scenes where it's just Joe walking around on a porno set, which is where most of the humor is said to arise from, even though it rarely does. There are some funny bits sprinkled throughout these censored sex scenes, like the cock double being switched for a black guy, and a scene later on in the movie where this lady called T-Rex, whose voice is dubbed over by Trey. This scene alone is by far the best part in the film, so I'll link you sexy gents in the cards or the description below, because I think you're pretty cool. A good highlight of the film arises from any parts with Dave the lighting guy played by Matt Stone in the film. It's always highlights when he's around, that being because he's really one of the only tolerable characters in the film. And that's just about the whole fucking movie right there. Yeah, there's a painfully unbearable side plot about this Japanese guy whose store gets shut down, and Ben also creates a working Orgazmo ray gun which does exactly what you think it would do, and Joe has to fight the porn director in another badly choreographed fight scene that takes way too long, isn't funny, and it's boring.
Joe, what the hell are you doing?
He took her, Ben. Orbison took my cupcake.
This may be a movie about a Mormon starring in a porno, but gosh darn it, I expected more. Trey Parker and Matt Stone have went on to create some of the best entertainment that has literally shaped culture as we know it today. So that's what makes this movie so disappointing. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or critiques, leave them below. Any type of feedback's appreciated. If you like the video and deem it worthy, use your Orgazmo ray gun on that trusty dandy like button for me. And if you enjoy the content and want to see more, might as well subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell too. We want to give a big thanks to Jah-Sun at RemoteLogic for helping write the script on the video. And if you like the sound of my voice, it's your boy! I'm Wavy Websurf. Make sure you check out my content over on my channel. I've got a documentary about the history of YouTube that I think you might enjoy. I'll see you guys around. I'm out.
You try having 4 dicks in you at one time.
No, thank you.